guys, Darren Cox here from Total Reformation. Now in today's video tutorial, I'm going to be taking you through yet another exercise that is going to improve your gait cycle. We're going to be using a tornado ball to create as much rotation as we can through your thoracic spine, which is very important. So when we look at most people these days, we notice that they're very kyphotic, meaning that they're compressed through here. Their head is forward and it's just that real slumped look. Now that can obviously be because of their work environment, the type of training they're doing, but also too, just gravity is basically squashing them down. They don't have that intrinsic core to be able to actually hold them up. Now what that means is that when we are compressed through here, it means that we can't rotate well through the upper spine, the thoracic spine. So when you try and go for a run or you try and do some form of exercise that involves some form of rotation, what happens is because that can't rotate, it means that hips, knees, ankles, and other joints have to have more rotation because there's lack of rotation here. As a result, we're going to have wear and tear on all your joints, and that's where your pain and eventually injury will come from. So this exercise is going to help with creating rotation through the thoracic spine. Another great thing about this exercise is that it almost helps with breaking open the fascial tissue that's on the inside of the rib cage or through the outside through here as well. And it almost pulls apart the adhesions a little bit to allow more hydration of the tissues, and it actually sits people up. I've actually had some clients who have come in quite sort of slumped over and a little bit compressed. We've done a lot of work through here with some myofascial release, and they've actually sitting up a lot taller by the time they leave. So let's get into it. What we're going to be doing is grab your tornado ball. These are a fantastic tool, very versatile. And what we're going to do first of all is just create a figure of 8 type motion around the body. So it looks like this. Now it's just going around the body like that. Now what you'll notice when you first start this action is you'll notice your body will start to sort of move around a little bit. So for example, this might happen. And this is what we see with someone who's new to this exercise. They're kind of falling all over the place. It's just that either they don't have the connection yet or the strength to be able to hold their body still to create the rotation of the thoracic spine. So here we go. Stand about pelvic width apart with the feet. We're always aiming to draw transverse abdominis into the spine to create some of that intrinsic core. The intra-abdominal pressure is what we're looking for. And then eventually what we're going to try and do is breathe into the thoracic part of the spine, into the rib cage, to help us lift and rotate more, because when we're squashed we can't rotate. If we can lift up and use this, we're going to have more ability to rotate. So off we go. Let's start to spin the ball around the body, figure of 8 fashion. Belly button's in, we're going to try and lift up, and eventually you're going to get larger and larger, and we're trying to get more rotation of the rib cage. So that's number 1. Take your time with it. Start with a light ball. I've only got a 1 kilo, and sometimes that's like a lot for some people. But see if you can get used to breathing, transverse abdominis in, and the rotation with a beautiful smooth motion around the body. If you can do it in front of a mirror, that'll be better, because you'll start to notice if you do start to do this, you'll look like a bit of a wet noodle just flopping all over the place, and you want to be able to tighten that back up and create the rotation through the thoracic spine. So that's exercise number 1. The progression to that exercise is adding a step into it. And what we do is we actually just use 1 step forward and 1 step back. Now when we're stepping forward, we're shifting the weight to the front foot. When we step backwards, we keep the weight on the front foot. We don't fall backwards. Now we're trying to create a cross pattern with this. It's almost mimicking that contra-lateral reciprocation that happens with the gait cycle. So as a little bit of a tip to help you get started with this, you can start, if I'm going to step with my left foot forward, I'm actually going to start with my left foot back. Then I'm going to pull the tornado ball over my right shoulder and step across. So it should look like this, cross, across, like that. And that's your next phase, your ability to actually stay quite grounded, quite controlled, TVA in, and large breaths into that rotation of the thoracic spine. And of course, then you can swap sides. Okay, and then eventually you can actually take it into a bit of a walk as well. And it's really effective. Make sure you're not going to hit anyone when you do this or anything. way. It's a very effective way of trying to keep the strong core and integrating as much rotation through the thoracic spine as possible. Now, this is fantastic for everyone. I've actually used this as a bit of a screening tool for some new clients just to see, well, how well does their body hold together when there's forces pulling it in different directions. And this is quite a three-dimensional little loop that we're doing here. So when it's being pulled in different directions, you can really start to see weaknesses in their body. Then when you add the step, that also really gets their brain going too. So they have to start to coordinate this type of fashion. And it's not just the newbies that find this tricky. I've actually had a couple of quite strong, athletic, very fit people come in and try this. They're very strong in this sagittal plane, so their squats, deadlifts, push-ups, and lats. But as soon as you introduce a rotational tension and rotational strength into it, you literally will see their body collapse under them because they haven't trained in this before. So, tornado spins, start with just a straight first of all, work on your breath and transverse abdominis, and then try and introduce some form of step element and make sure it's a cross pattern. That's what we're looking for because we're trying to mimic almost that contralateral reciprocation. Hope you enjoyed that video. Please feel free to share that with anyone that might benefit from this video, and make sure you hit like and subscribe to our channel. But I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video tutorial, where hopefully we can help you think a little bit more about what it is you're actually doing when it comes to your training. I'll speak to you guys soon.